Oh, so Brian found out I was at an anime con, not because he remembered, because I told him I was going, but because Aaron texted him that he saw people dressed up like anime downtown. And it was, they have this thing there where people wail on each other with foam swords.
Oh,
And
nice.
I swear to, they're there like all fucking day. Like they have actual rules and stuff where like if you lose two extremities, you're dead. If you get hit in the torso, you're dead. It's a whole. They have tournaments and stuff all weekend. You can buy the swords, but the guy who runs it's like a legit like swords martial arts instructor,
Okay.
and he gave this panel on like how to tell if a sword's real or fake, like from a sword vendor. So we're sitting there going through it. He's like, "Oh, hey, his name's Samurai Dan," and he's like, talking about his
That
dojo.
sounds like I went from picturing this awesome dude to when you said his name's Samurai Dan. Now I'm picturing like somebody more akin to Gary Busey and a gi.
He named himself, basically.
It's like a 6'2" tone guy that is like 50 now, but was in like the military for 6 years. That kind of look,
Okay.
like a tall.
So Gary
but, like,
Busey.
not
Like an old gym teacher.
Yeah, but like and he's not cut. He's lean, and he's like, oh yeah, So he starts telling us about his dojo, and he's telling us a story about, and he's like, I got my own sensei that like runs the master dojo, and he's like, you guys might know who it is. I'm like, fuck no, I don't. Why would I know that? And then he's like, do you guys ever see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies? And I'm like, fuck you! I'm so pissed off that he brought it up. And he's like, Shredder's number 2, Master Tetsu. That's my sensei. That guy, Tetsu from the Ninja Turtles, got brought up in this fucking con. I
Nice.
can't escape it, and now I get the reference, and I hate those movies.
Aren't you glad? See, you have that frame of reference now.
It sucks so hard.
Suck
Like
to
I'm
suck.
the only person there, head down when he says turtles. Like, fuck, no, don't do this. But yeah, that pissed me off. Like, I'm having a nice, fun anime weekend. I got a butt girl next to me, and what do I get? I get fucking Ninja Turtle out of nowhere. It sucked.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bright Guy and the Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick, and I haven't thought of any cool intros for this one, so we're just going to roll right through. Joining me for this episode is Andy Stoles.
What's up, podcast people?
Next up, we got Mike Bradley.
Hello.
And finally, Ian Lighting.
Congratulations to the Dorito Pope himself, Cybermania 94's interactive product specialist, Jeff Keighley.
Wait, did you say the Doritos Pope? What?
That's one of his nicknames because he was in the Doritos promotions for like the Halos and stuff. Like, big into that.
Okay.
And if you caught that, he was involved in a Game Award show in 1994 when he was like fucking 15.
I didn't realize he went back that far.
No one else did until they got to his name in the fucking credits. They're like, Jeff Keighley, why? How?
Yeah, so that's pretty much a good setup as ever. This episode will be another video game heavy one. We're going to talk about the Game Awards that just happened. So this past week, Jeff Keighley had his big year-ending event, which is the Game Awards. So that was streamed to the world. The show is framed as an award show to celebrate video games and the developers behind them. The show also functions as a big place for announcements, reveals, stuff for upcoming games, movies. A lot of the entertainment stuff goes through there. Just like we usually try to do when we cover E3 over the summer, there are way too many things to talk about in this show, so we won't be covering the whole thing. We're going to try to simplify it a bit. Each of us kind of picked 2 topics from the show we wanted to talk about, whether that's an award, a trailer, an announcement, whatever. Each of us just got 2 things we're going to bring up. So I was trying to catch up on probably Monday. If you were following the socials, I was posting stuff from the event, some of the announcements, the trailers. I've posted a decent amount of stuff, but there's some stuff on Facebook and Twitter from the event. I didn't post everything, so if you want to check out what happened at the show, what the awards were, I would encourage you to check a recap somewhere. We'll try to cover what we want to. Hopefully between what I posted and what we want to cover, it gives you a good idea of what was at the show, but I'm sure we will still miss some stuff. So if there's something you want to hear us talk about that we don't, I apologize in advance. We'll try to. I don't know. I was gonna say we try to talk about it later, but we probably won't. So you're just
Send Brian
SOL.
an email. Yeah.
Yeah,
Send him
yeah.
an
Right.
email to Fry Guy and
Strongly
Super
worded
Friends.
email.
Yeah.
Yes.
Saying you want
I'll-
to hear this, that, and the other thing, and
I'll-
he will reply in 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, I will definitely see it eventually. So we're gonna go around the room. We're gonna jump right in. Each of us again pick 2 topics. So we have our order picked out. We're gonna go through everybody. Whoever's up, they're gonna go through their 2 things. We'll go on to the next person, go their 2 things, and work our way around. We'll see how far we go. Mike has volunteered to go first. Mike, hit us with what you would like to talk about from the Game Awards.
Well, I guess first things first. I'll throw out a congratulations to Imagine Dragons for putting on an excellent performance in spite of a bunch of people being assholes on the internet about it. I think they did a good
I didn't
job.
see that.
Which
I mean,
which song
I
did
saw
they
the
do?
performance. I didn't see what the internet did.
They did
It's Imagine
songs.
Dragons. So the internet did what the internet does to Imagine Dragons.
I like Imagine Dragons.
I know you do.
They did songs that they made for Arcane, the League of Legends Netflix series, and a song
the
they did from
anime.
the game Bastion.
Okay, I didn't realize they did game-specific songs.
Yeah. But other than that, the first thing I want to talk about is the most anticipated game for 2022 award. Well, I guess it's not even just for 2022, technically. It's just the most anticipated game. They don't say the year in the award.
Yeah, it's the most
Yeah, that's-
anticipated game that didn't release during the release cycle that the Game Awards are a part of. So
Right.
technically, Halo Infinite could have won. Just throwing that out there. It wasn't released in time to be nominated for the Game Awards.
Yeah, technically, it wasn't nominated, though.
There could have been.
I feel like it was nominated for an award, which was weird.
The People's Choice Award. It won the People's Choice Award.
Yeah, that was kind
That's
of...
the fan one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm
it's the
saying that the
fan voting
fans
one,
determine the
yeah.
nominees, though. I thought they had like a cutoff
they
date
did.
for the award.
The fans determine all of it so that they don't follow the rules.
Oh, okay. Fine.
Super Mario Brothers 2 could have won that
It should have.
every year.
It was all just a dream.
So for the second year in a row, Elden Ring won this award, which I've talked enough about Elden Ring on our show. You guys know it's coming February 25th. It's gonna be released.
For now.
And don't just cut that shit out. Stop.
It'll still make 2022. We'll see if it makes
Stop
that
it.
date.
Like, my big issue with this whole category is the best game that wasn't out yet, didn't even get nominated, Karen's Prison, the ultimate porno game releasing exclusively on Steam and DL site, released today, December 15th,
Jesus.
and yet it was not nominated. The game is the greatest confectionery concoction of pornography and gameplay the world has ever seen, and it was scraped by for another From Software, been there, done that. They just ripped off Skyrim. That's all they're doing. They made fucking Skyrim, and people are excited about Skyrim. And it's 10 years, 10 years, Todd Howard.
Moving on from that.
What is happening?
The reason I bring the category up wasn't actually to talk about Elden Ring that much, because you guys all know that's going to be a big thing. Everybody knows that.
They've made the same game 6 times in a row, but this time there's a horse. They made fucking Skyrim.
And the games that they make are still better than everything else coming out somehow.
Karen's Prison, better. Demon Souls, not that good.
I'll have to play Karen's Prison and get back to you on that.
That's all Ian wants.
It's 20% off right now for the first week of release.
All right. So,
It's gonna show up in your Steam account as a Christmas present.
to attempt to move on from it, the reason I wanted to highlight this category specifically is because of it being maybe the strongest category they've ever put together for any Game Awards category ever.
Do you just mean like a ton of games got delayed?
Well, essentially, that's what we're looking at in 2022 because of a bunch of game delays happening and pushing all of this amazing gaming content into a single year. You've got Breath of the Wild 2, which Breath of the Wild won the Game of the Year award in 2017. You've got Horizon Forbidden West Horizon Zero Dawn was the runner-up to Breath of the Wild in 2017.
Okay. That shouldn't have happened. That's an average game at best.
A lot of people disagree.
Yeah, and they're wrong.
God
We've been over this.
of War
The critics don't know what they're
Ragnarok
talking
is
about.
coming. And the first God of War was Game of the Year in 2018.
No, I think that came out in like 2004.
Oh, well, okay, so God of War for PS4. Okay, fuck's sake, I gotta be specific about everything. And then, of course, we have Starfield, where Ian's talking about everybody getting excited for Skyrim. You have Starfield coming, which is Bethesda's first new IP in 25 years. That's kind of a big deal because their IPs that they're really known for are Elder Scrolls and Fallout, which I think everybody here is at least a fan of one or the other, if not both. And then, of course, currently they also do the current versions of Doom, which is Doom and Doom Eternal were both amazing. So I wanted to highlight that category and get your guys' thoughts on what is actually your most anticipated, because I know I'm probably the only one that answers Elden Ring. What is your actual most anticipated, even if it's not on that list?
I would answer Elden Ring as well, even though I'm not necessarily a fan of the From Software difficulty that they throw into a lot of their games. Not the greatest gamer, but I do like to game. So that gets frustrating, and those games sometimes get put down and never get picked back up. But remind me again, this is George R.R. Martin themed in the Lord of the Rings Middle-earth realm?
No.
Or it has nothing to do with Middle-earth?
Nothing to do with Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings.
Well,
Okay.
there's horses.
Well, I mean, okay.
I think it's original story that he helped create.
Yeah,
Okay.
George R.R.
It's
Martin.
It's a whole new
did the
IP
story.
then.
Yeah.
Okay.
He helped create what like the backworld stuff, like
Yeah.
the background kind of things, and they kind of took like his world Bible and built a story using kind of his themes and stuff that he created for the world itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he
That's
did
that's
any of,
why
like,
it hasn't been
character
delayed
stuff.
again, because George R.R. Martin's been done working on his part for a decade now.
Yeah, he like that overarching stuff that he did. I don't think he did any of the actual character building or plot or anything like that.
Just the thematic stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the trailer we got from the award show was basically like a story trailer, right? It like set up the world and what's going on and
It's-
stuff like that.
Yeah.
What
It was
they've
a pretty
done
cool trailer.
each time actually is the final trailer that they have released for each of their games since Dark Souls 2 has been the opening cinematic
Okay,
for the game.
okay.
So it's likely that is the opening cinematic.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm pretty excited about Starfield as well. That would probably be my number 2 in that, because I feel like that's just going to be space Skyrim.
Yeah, that's
and I didn't get a chance to play it, but I was also excited about the Obsidian game that was in space.
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds, yeah. I never did get to play that, but I always sort of assumed that was going to be sort of similar to what I would expect Starfield to be. And I know that was pretty highly regarded.
Outer Worlds was fantastic. I played it. It was really good. I don't think Starfield is going to take the tongue-in-cheek route as much from what I've seen so far, but maybe it will. We haven't seen enough yet to really know for sure. But I don't think they're taking that Outer
Like, it had
Worlds
all, like,
/ Fallout
Fallout.
kind of humor.
It's like it's even more tongue in cheek than like Fallout is. Like it went at some points. I think it was a little too much. They went into it, but I also think Starfield is just because Bethesda's known a lot for their open worldness, and Outer World is a lot more. You know, you're in a very set location on each planet.
You
can't just
like you're
Cover the whole planet.
You're pigeonholed into areas.
Yeah, it's still large and stuff, but you know there's walls you're not going to pass and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, they did well within those constraints, I think. It was a really fun game, and I'm excited for the sequel to that as well. But again, Horizon Forbidden West doesn't belong on this list. I don't know how you're excited about that game, anyone. Starfield's cool, but I also know it's a Bethesda game, so I gotta wait at least a year for modders to fix it.
Yeah, it's a
So-
Bethesda game. It's going to launch broken.
Except for Doom somehow, whatever. And so, actually,
Yeah.
I think that's because that's a different team. Like,
Well, and it's also not an
they have
open
special
world
teams.
game. It's just a level
Yeah.
game. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that and like, didn't they sort of take ID software, their team, and just sort of like take them into
That
Bethesda?
might be it too.
Yeah.
That might be it too. I'm not a hundo on that.
Yeah, I think Bethesda owns id, don't they?
Yeah, they just
Right,
own
so-
it.
Yeah, but I don't
so-
think it's still a thing now. I
Yeah,
think
okay.
they're still
Okay.
Like
an
I
entity.
think what he's saying though is like the people that made it are still making it, and it's just owned
It's
by
just
Bethesda.
Bethesda now.
It's
Yeah.
not
Okay,
Bethesda's
I got you.
team.
That's what I'm saying. Like they kept the team together, but instead of Team A.
Like how EA for a while was calling all of their studios BioWare something.
Yeah.
And so I think my most anticipated game, as we all know, is still Scorn. Can't wait. It's supposed to come out this year. Didn't. Haven't heard a peep about it in 6 months. I asked an inside scoop, and I got, it hasn't officially been delayed yet, but I don't think it's coming out this year.
There's still 15 days. It could just show up.
So we're waiting for Scorn. So my most anticipated games are, because Karen Prison came out today, Scorn and Untitled Kojima Project. He hasn't announced that he's working on anything, but he is.
Oh, it's the Silent Hill thing with Del Toro that I talked about.
Okay, no, that was a joke about their canceled Silent Hill game.
I think it was a tease about one that they're because of how much people want it to happen and how much money it would make. They knew to do
If
it,
there's
and they're going
one
to put
thing
it out.
Konami knows, it's to leave the milk in the cow. Don't make any video games. It's one thing Konami's really good at, is not making video games
that
and
analogy
milking their
before.
franchises by not making the games.
Keep the milk in the cow. I like that.
Maybe they woke up. I can cross my fingers and hope.
I mean, that canceled game is the reason Kojima left Konami.
I get that, but maybe there's
But
something
that's what I mean,
happening.
that would
Maybe
be the-
Sony's gonna buy the IP.
No, because every time someone says, hey, you think someone asks Konami to buy one of their IP, Konami doubles the price, and the other person's like, are you dumb? And walks away. And it just keeps happening for over a decade now.
As
Then
far
they
as
shit
like
out another pachinko machine.
the most anticipated for me, like looking at the list, Elden Ring again. That's not really the
You're never
Souls
gonna
type
play it.
game. Yeah, isn't really my cup
It
of tea,
doesn't have
so I
to be
probably won't play
from
that
the
one.
list. It could be any game for you.
Like
Well-
Like, it
Scorn.
doesn't matter if
Yeah,
it's on
there's-
that list. Is what I was saying.
Stalker
I was
2.
trying to think of like other stuff that's coming out, but nothing's immediately jumping out at me that I like can't think of what else is supposed to come out even the next year that's really jumping out at me. So I'm just trying to go off of what the list is.
Fair enough.
God of War, I have not played a God of War. It's on my back catalog of stuff that I probably should play on PlayStation, but I never got around to it.
You've never played any of them?
I might have dabbled in one of the ones on like PS2, but it's been since that long
Oh, wow.
since I played some. Horizon, I have the first game on PlayStation. I never played it. It's, again, part of that back catalog again, so I don't really have too much to go on for Forbidden West.
Skip it.
Breath of the Wild 2, I started Breath of the Wild on the Switch. It didn't grip me, I think, as much as all the hype around it was given. Like, everybody talks about this game, that it's so good. And I thought it was really going to grab me and want me to play it more. And it's very easy to get lost in that game from the start. And so I just kind of put it down, and I don't really have had a desire to go back and try to finish it. So I don't know how I feel about that one.
I had a very similar experience with that, and I put it down to the point where I wanted to pick it back up, and then I'm like, wait, what are the controls? Am I going to have to relearn this shit while I'm trying to play from a place where...
Yeah. Yeah, the original Breath of the Wild is a little bit more overwhelming to me right now, so it's still like I want to play it, but it's just sitting there for me. So I really think my most anticipated is probably Starfield. I think that's the most mysterious game, maybe just to try to see what it does and what they're going to do with it. If we had more information, I might be able to tell you one way or the other if it's something I'm really looking forward to or not, but all the stuff around it, I think the hype around that one I think is really cool, and I'm excited to see where that game goes, and it's definitely one that I want to see what happens and one that I'd like to play. But out of that list, it's probably the game that's not going to show up in 2022. I could see that getting delayed to 2023. So I don't even know how soon we'll actually be able to play that one, but
To be
as far as
fair, only
my-
2 of them on that list. Well, Elden Ring and 3 of them. 3 of the 5 have official release dates. Breath of the Wild and God of War do not have official dates. But Starfield
anything
does
that's-
as November 11th.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
no way. Anything in the back half of 2022, there's no way it's coming out that year. No way.
Plus, Elden Ring's already been delayed.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
only reason I think
they
that
got
game
pushed
will
a
still
month.
happen this year or next year.
And now that we know Microsoft will push games a whole fucking year, so
Yeah.
Evidently, it's a pretty damn good thing they did.
I really want to know what was going to come out last year.
To be fair, you remember all like the Craig memes with the
Yeah.
dumbass looking brute?
Mm-hmm.
They actually made fun of themselves. When I found the one skull, there was like a vinyl record album with Craig on it up like right next to the skull, and it like played music when you meleeed it. It was fucking
Nice.
hilarious.
So all I'm hearing though, I think Brian's most anticipated game next year is Untitled Infinity Ward Call of Duty.
Oh God, no.
Or whatever
No.
Fortnite does next.
Fortnite might get
They
me.
just did something.
Yeah. They put fucking Spider-Man in Fortnite. Of course I'm gonna fucking play it.
So can you like
So-
swing
And The
around
Rock.
like Spider-Man and kill people
They
with
added
webs?
a swinging mechanic. Yes, there's a pickup you can grab when you're playing. That's the
Does there
Spider-Man
have to
gloves.
be buildings around, or is it like the Xbox game where there didn't have to be anything in sight? You could just swing.
To be honest, I'm not sure. I've seen people swing around, but I know there's been buildings and stuff above them when they're swinging. So I don't know if it's just free, like just web swing into the sky and you can go.
And
I
is
haven't-
it
I
as
haven't
good
got to
as
pick up
the
myself
actual
to try it.
Spider-Man game?
It looks surprisingly good for Fortnite that they just put random shit in the game all the time, and it's really good considering all the crap that's in that game. Like, I'm more impressed with Fortnite the more I play it, just for the mechanics of what they do and how quickly they update their game and make it feel fresh. But anyway,
That's
I
what
don't
$1
want to
billion will get you.
get yeah, I don't want to get sidetracked on all the money I've been spending on Fortnite for all their IP that they put in the game. But yeah, anyway, my choice would be Starfield. That's mine.
There is a game that I've been anticipating for a very long time that is not on that list.
Skull and Bones or
Skull and
whatever.
Crossbones, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been in the books since what? We did an E3 on it in 2018.
I was gonna say at least probably 3 years.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
heard a peep about it last year, I think, randomly, where they were like, ooh, it's nowhere close to being done. And it's like, I have a feeling they're gonna
Well,
Scrap it.
scrap it. Yeah.
no, they can't. They can't. That's the rumor going around this summer. They got an investment from Singapore, and unless they return the money, they have to release a game.
Oh, is that the thing? Okay.
Yeah, they got
So
an
even if
investment.
it's shit, it's coming
They
out.
got some kind of grant from Singapore, and if the game doesn't come out, they got to give that money back.
Oof.
I thought they pretty much had it going. Like it was
That's-
like
that's
basically Black Flag. Just
That's the
take
thing.
out the Assassin's Creed stuff and just
Yeah.
Yeah. The
The
problem
mechanics-
is they didn't figure out what to do then. Like
Yeah.
have you do anything? It was just a boat and some water. And they didn't have any other ideas.
Yeah, I thought they were pulling all the actual combat mechanics from Black Flag, and they were just gonna like throw a different IP on top of it.
Which would have been
Yeah.
amazing. Like
Right.
if you think like if you add what Sea of Thieves does, but you put in the Black Flag mechanics,
yeah.
that could get me involved. Like Sea of Thieves, I never could get into just because it never grabbed me. Like it just couldn't.
It's too chaotic for me.
But if they changed it and they had it, yeah, I mean, it's a thought.
If Sea of Thieves had a room or servers, like individual servers, I would play it. But there's too many times where I'm doing what I want to do, and someone comes in, fucks with my shit, takes my shit, sinks my ship, kills me, and I'm just like, okay, like
Why am I playing this?
I like doing Sea of Thieves, but sometimes I don't want to PvP, and I want to just go around hunting skeletons and finding treasure.
Yeah.
That's Dallas.
All right. Well, anything else for the most anticipated one? And we're going to Mike's second.
I want Scorn news, please. Help me.
I feel like one of these days it's just going to show up on Game Pass. Like they're
And
not
you
even
won't
going to
see
tell
me
you
for
it's
a
coming.
week. You won't
It's just
see me
going to
for a
be
week.
there.
I want to be Scornhead. I'm gonna go Scornhead for Halloween.
All right, Mike. What's your number 2? What's your second topic?
My second one was we got a full trailer for the Halo Paramount Plus series coming this year. They didn't announce an actual release date. It says in 22, but it's in post-production. It's all filmed. It's all done. And yeah, the trailer looks awesome. And there's not a whole lot to really go on. I mean, we know Pablo Schreiber is going to be playing Master Chief.
I forgot they did cast someone for Master Chief. That's right. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. If you don't know him, he's it kind of, has he really had many lead roles? I don't think. He's been kind of like a co-lead a couple of times, but like 13 Hours, Den of Thieves. He was in American Gods, and I think he was in Orange is the New Black as well. But I've not watched that show, so I've heard.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that he's been in.
He was Todd in Bubble Boy.
Bubble Boy.
Which one's Todd?
I don't fucking know. Look, this is IMDb. He's not even like top 10 build in that movie.
No, yeah, he's not in a lot of things, but again, he's going to be Master Chief, which means he's going to have a mask on, helmet for pretty much the whole movie.
Well, is he
or
playing
show.
him or is he doing the voice?
It says Master Chief. It does not say Master
Okay.
Chief voice. But then again, we have Jen Taylor cast as Cortana, and it doesn't just say voice. So
Is she Cortana from the games?
she's Cortana from the current game.
Okay.
I guess whoever it was that used to do Cortana doesn't anymore.
Okay.
I'm trying not to spoil anything from the game as well. So,
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
but she is currently the blue AI that accompanies Master Chief.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we have, I don't know how to say this woman's last name. Natasha McElhoney? I don't know. As Dr. Halsey.
Oh yeah, she's the lady from Truman Show.
Yes. Yeah, she was in the Truman
okay.
Show and a few, like a lot of older stuff.
Yeah.
She was known for, but so they're obviously going to be pretty closely using the cast of characters from the game. What story they're going to tell, is it related to a specific game or time period? We don't really know yet.
I feel like this is just me speculating, but like assuming the show is going to try to attract people that don't know anything about the Halo lore or have never played the games, you probably either want to start with Reach or the first game. Like, I feel like those would be two very good jumping off points for new people.
Well, John Halo's not in Reach, so.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. John Halo. What's
his name?
John
That's not his
117.
name.
Tell me it's not. You knew exactly who I meant.
I know Master Chief. I don't know. I know his first
name
name's
is John. Yeah, but
Yeah.
John Halo.
John
His
Halo.
last name is
Character
not
of
Halo.
Halo.
There's no fucking way.
Doom guy's the main character of Doom. It's the same thing.
Well, he's the Doom Slayer now. Let's.
Okay.
All right, so from
Anyways.
that point, I feel like the story of the first game is probably a good place to start. I would think.
Well, and I guess that was my thought: is are they going to tell their own story, or are they going to try to follow? The arc from the games. Is it going to be part of the same canon? You know what I mean? Like,
Because I
we
know
don't
there's
know
novels
this stuff.
and stuff like that. Yeah, so I don't know if the books cover other stories featuring Master Chief. If there's other lore there, I'm only sort of
yes.
familiar with the story of the
Yes,
games.
there is.
Okay,
There's
so maybe
too
there
many.
are other stories, but I feel like just the
Do
game,
you
the
know how many
first game
Halo
itself.
books there aren't?
Yeah, it's a
I
lot.
know.
There's There's almost as many as there are like Star Wars books. There's a lot of fucking Halo books.
All right, so there's a lot of lore to dive into.
Yes.
They suck, but there's a lot of them.
So at least
Same
like,
could
from
be
the
said
lore
for a
I
lot of
know,
the Star Wars books.
yeah, from the lore I know, I feel like the first Halo game would be a good place to set up the story,
Yeah.
the factions and whatnot, and go from there.
My whole issue with this is like Halo as a series, the worst part of it's the story. Like, I could play
I
Halo because
disagree.
it's fun to play. The story is pretty nonsensical and like pointless. I don't really care about it. Like, at least the first trilogy kind of had a basic enough story that it didn't matter, but by 4 they clearly lost the plot on what the fuck Halo is.
Well, that's when 343 took over making everything.
Yeah.
And that
they don't know what they're doing.
they brought
the
it back around with Infinite. I'll say that.
Well, that's because they stopped doing their trilogy in Infinite and said,
Yes.
fuck the Forerunners, we're telling a different story now. that's what they did, though. They
It
just
is.
said, oh, you know that shit, we fucked up, never mind. Not important. Listen to some audio logs. Like, it's if like, Halo 4, like, happened, and then Halo 3 didn't, and then in Halo 4 you heard audio logs telling you the story of Halo 3. That's what Infinite is. And it's whatever. So I just think Halo, the story's the weakest part, and my other big issue is this was supposed to be a movie for like a fucking decade, and now it's on a fourth-rate subscription service. I have a lot of questions about how good this is going to be.
It was supposed to originally be on like Microsoft's streaming platform, right? As part of an Xbox Entertainment Network.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's because that's
was-
a whole different thing with Microsoft just trying to buy Mixer, and
So it ended up like it was going to go to Showtime, right? And then I think CBS owned Showtime, so now it's just on CBS's streaming platform, which makes sense.
I mean, and this will be enough to get me to at least buy a month of Paramount Plus whenever the full series has been released and watch it and never resubscribe. I'll pay $5
See, it
to
sounds
watch this
dirty.
series.
I don't even want to say that I have Paramount Plus. It sounds.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna. I mean, I guess the other thing is like, if it's one of those pure exclusive things, then that's what I'll end up doing. If I can just straight buy the Halo series on Amazon, you know what I mean, just buy the series itself or on like Blu-ray or some shit like that at some point,
Yeah.
I might go that route.
Well, you got to buy 50 bags of Doritos. That
Go
gets
on.
you one episode.
So
Then you got to buy Mountain Dew for the rest.
since it's a
Code
9
Red
episode
specifically.
series,
Or
we're
no,
talking 450 bags of Doritos, huh?
Mm-hmm. And you got to get some Mountain Dew mixed in because that's how you get the DLC that's how you get the audio for the episodes.
Oh, okay. I'm down.
We're microtransactioning this bitch.
The trailer for that did look awesome. Like I was very surprised how good some of the effects look. Like this, the way the space was done and the visuals for all that stuff, I thought was really cool. Even just seeing someone in like really good, like the costume of the armor, like Chief's armor, walk around and seeing the Spartans, you're like, this looks fucking cool.
Well, they've done it before. I'm sure it's a different production company, but they've done like live action Halo trailers for the previous games.
Right.
And those are always really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like they look amazing. So I'm not surprised you can bring that. I just don't know if it's going to work for a show.
I
I
mean,
just don't
I'm
have
in.
faith.
I'm with Mike. I'm gonna watch it. I don't care where it's available. If it has to be Paramount Plus, I'm watching it on Paramount Plus. I'm
No,
watching it.
that's actually where it's available. Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
Paramount.
Well, I mean,
Plus.
if it's only there, you know what I mean.
it's going to be only like it's just, yeah.
All right.
2021.
Then yes,
like
I will be
only
part of
stream
Paramount
stuff.
Plus to watch this show.
And to be fair about your, the whole like Master Chief costume thing, I actually seen something. It was this year from Halloween. The tight end for the 49ers, I think he like went out and paid somebody to make a full-on realistic Master Chief costume.
Jeez.
And he's obviously a big fan, but he's also like 6'8" or some shit like that. So he actually looked like fucking Master Chief in the armor because he's huge.
Yeah.
It was fucking cool.
Andy, did you watch the trailer?
I did watch the trailer, yes.
What do you think?
I think it looked really cool. I do have questions about the story, because I think the only Halos I've played are Halo 3 and Halo 4. So
Okay.
I dabbled in 1 and 2, but it was more just like the Xbox parties that you used to have at your houses and stuff. So.
Yeah.
I like that's just like such polar opposites of the story scale too. Those two games.
Yeah.
Like it's the end. It's basically the end of the original studio story.
Yeah,
not
it's
their
the
last
end
game.
of end of Bungie and the beginning of 343.
Yeah, but somehow they're both still John Halo.
I guess that's where this is gonna fall. Is like, does this, because what 343 has done with Infinite has brought it back around to feeling like Halo again, and are they gonna be able to keep that feeling? Like, there's a certain feel to that original trilogy with Reach and ODST that is so much different and better than what they did with 4 and 5. And where is this series going to fall? If it falls more in line with the tone and feel of 4 and 5, it's going to lose a lot of people really quick. So I don't know where they're going to end up with it. And that's a concern, but I'm still there to watch it. I'm still there to find out.
Well, like Ian said, I've been waiting for a Halo movie for years. So if this is how that morphed into the TV show idea, we're not getting a movie, we're getting this instead. I'm here. I'm in.
Was it Peter Jackson supposed to direct this way back when?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
actually, yes.
And at
Holy
one point, I
shit.
don't know if he still is, but the TV show, when it was attached to Showtime, and possibly even before that, when it was Microsoft Studios, Spielberg was supposed to be executive producing this. I don't know if
Yeah.
his name's still attached to this or not, but at one point he was.
I do not think so. I was just
Yeah,
gonna
I kind of
scroll
hope
and
it
look.
isn't. I kind of hope it isn't.
Because I think when they did, I think the commercial you were talking about, Ian, it was probably like a Halo 3, I think, live action commercial that they did. I thought right around the time like they were talking about the movie and Peter Jackson, they used Peter Jackson's Weta to do the effects for that commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And that was why that commercial looked fucking cool. It was like a couple Marines against like the brutes and stuff on the battlefield driving a Warthog. Yeah, I remember that commercial. It was awesome. God damn it, I'm gonna have to watch that commercial after we're done.
To be fair, the two creators that are attached to it, I'm not entirely impressed by the resume. They've done a lot of work together, but neither one is jumping out at me as like, oh man, that something called The Last Ship. I don't know what that is.
Oh, I've heard that.
American Dad.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and The Closer.
Oh, my grandma loves that show.
Yeah, this is my concern.
Turn her on to Halo. Spiritual
I might-
successor.
Be like, hey, this is from the guys that make The Closer.
She's
John
the
Halo.
target audience.
John Halo is.
She likes those books. Tom Cruise did the movies. Jack Reacher. She likes those. So.
Actually, that's getting a show too.
I heard everybody I've talked to that read the Jack Reacher books hated those movies.
She didn't like the
I've
movies
also
because
heard
Tom
that.
Cruise is too short to be Jack
Yeah.
Reacher.
That was a
That's-
big complaint
that's
was that Jack Reacher was supposed to be this like Hulk Hogan type of dude almost, and
Yeah.
or Dolph Lundgren.
Which they put out a trailer. They're actually making a Jack Reacher series on Amazon, and the dude they got for Jack Reacher is fucking enormous.
Okay.
So it's definitely more in line with the books.
They
for that one.
heard the criticism then, I guess.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm really looking forward to it. So go ahead.
I think as far as like a quality TV show, I think it'll be pretty telling how they do the aliens and how
Yeah.
practical versus computer generated the graphics will look.
True.
And
Yeah.
I think that will probably be the catalyst for me either watching or stopping.
I mean, if there's not a suicide grunt, I'm out. Like suicide grunt is a must, and he has to they actually have to go into his character just a little bit before he goes to make the suicide run about contemplating why he's doing this.
No. You cut to him and he says, "What is this? Some kind of Suicide Squad?"
Yeah.
And then his head explodes with the birthday party confetti.
Yeah. Oh. That's your trailer. Cut.
Is that wrap? Did everybody get a chance to talk about the Halo TV show?
I said cut.
Good enough. All right, Ian, you're up. What are your two things?
Alan Wake 2. Remedy is fucking back. And unlike the first Alan Wake game, this is survival horror. They're going to blend the horror into the gameplay. We're going to hear more next summer. So we got a very, very tiny, brief look at Alan Wake 2. A very minuscule, probably not an engine cutscene of Alan Wake talking about brooding monsters and evil things and darkness. So if you don't know, Remedy's been making games for a long time. They made the Max Payne trilogy. Then they made Alan Wake it's been
A long time.
10, 15 years, I think, when that
'Cause
came
that was on
out. That was on the
360, right?
360.
Yeah.
It had a cool story. Like, it was real tongue-in-cheek, but it was like a tongue-in-cheek Stephen King book. Like, that was the kind of story. Like, they weren't trying to take the monsters too seriously. The issue was the gameplay was flashlight-based, and you ran out of batteries. It's a real downer. But then, a couple years ago, they made this game called Control, which is one of the greatest games of all time. It has a fantastic fucking story and just the smoothest goddamn gameplay you can find. It is a true gem of the ages, and it actually does have an Alan Wake DLC post-content thing where you go through and learn more about the Alan Wake story because they're in the same universe. And one of the characters in Control, Dr. Darling, is the voice of Alan Wake.
Okay.
Okay.
Like that guy. So they're bringing Alan Wake back, and they said it's going to be a survival horror game. So I would think more like Resident Evil 2 than Resident Evil Village in that sense. And they really emphasize wanting to meld the horror into the gameplay, and I'm kind of curious what they mean by that and how that'll play out. Like if the gameplay dictates how horrified you get, like based on how well you're doing or something. I'm real curious to see. But after Control, I can't wait for whatever Remedy's doing.
Didn't that one game have that? What was that game called? Amnesia?
Yeah.
Didn't
yeah,
that have like the terror mechanic in it?
Mm-hmm. It did. Yeah. So something like that could be. You're right. It makes sense, but they don't have the greatest track record because some of those Max Payne games aren't great. And Alan Wake, like I said, gameplay was probably its weakest point, but control was so fucking good that I can't wait for this.
I think actually Max Payne 3 is a great fucking game. And I'd love to see that game get remastered because I think it deserves it. That's a 360 game that needs to be updated because I think it'd be cool as shit.
I didn't play Max Payne 3 because of Max Payne 2.
2 was a bit much, but 3 I fucking loved it. Like 3 is one of those games that I don't have a long list of games that I've replayed more than once. Max Payne 3 is one of them.
I may have to look into it. I've just never paid attention to it because I didn't like the second one.
I have not played Alan Wake, but I know that's one that people have spoke highly of. I bought Control when it was on sale for Black Friday, but again, add that to the back catalog of shit that I need to play. But I will get to that sooner rather than later.
And they did add the Alan Wake remaster came out a couple.
I did see that.
Ago.
Yeah.
And you can play. They have a post-game DLC that released separately. Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which got the comedy a little better, and that is available on Game Pass.
Ooh, okay, all right.
It's a shorter story. Like that might be a good way to like get into the Alan Wake world.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I saw it was announced. I didn't really have too much. It didn't have, I guess, too much weight for me because I haven't really played the first one and some of the other games that are tied to it. But I'm interested for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome for people who are into Alan Wake" because it looked like a cool trailer. But it was something I've never played Alan Wake, so it didn't like hit home for me as much. Where it was like, it's like knowing Control's out there is great and all, but the series that they're promoting, I haven't touched. So, maybe it'll get me interested. You know what I mean? When we see more, if it looks cool and I want to know the backstory, yeah, I can see going back to it. If it looks cool when we see more.
And did you play Alan Wake at all or know anything about Alan Wake?
I don't know anything about Alan Wake at all. And based on just what I saw from the short snippet of a trailer that we got during the Game Awards, I assumed that Alan Wake was a horror thriller. But that's not the case.
The first game was like a horror, but it was like an action game more than anything.
It wasn't a survival game.
Correct. This one's they're saying going to be more like that, which was also a surprise because they haven't made a survival game before.
Okay. The trailer looks really cool and it looks very ominous, so it's definitely interesting. I think I would need to see more to say, go for it or shy away.
And one other real cool thing Remedy has done is like play with live action stuff. Like the character I mentioned, Dr. Darling, that, is played by the guy who voices Alan Wake. All of his stuff was done like real person. Like there's no character model of him in the game. Like it's actual footage recorded of him that you like watch in the game for all of his stuff.
Yeah.
They do a really cool blending of like that FMV like live action style for Control. You might remember Quantum Break, where you played kind of a fun game and then you watched a half hour of the worst fucking TV show of your life. So they don't always get it right, but I'm real excited to see what they do, and I'm hoping it's most of that same... It seems like it's a lot of that same team back, and now they have the funding from Control being a hit, and Epic's investing in like their next set of games, including this one.
I still thought Quantum Break was decent. Like, I give them props for trying something new. It didn't maybe hit as well as it should have, but I like the thought process behind it.
Like, they took the lessons from that, and then, like, they were like, Control's just it's gotta flow like butter, that game. It does. You switch from ability to shooting, like, so seamlessly, like, you're not even thinking about it. It's just one of the best fucking games. I love it.
Yeah, you definitely gotta get to that sooner rather than later. Anything else for this one, or we'll push in for topic number 2?
So topic number 2 was tough because I was gonna pick this one, but no one's gonna have people are gonna have even less to say about it than Alan Wake.
Persona.
Go into this whole thing. No, it was gonna be content creator and how Dream not only cheated and is a liar and cheated at Minecraft of all fucking games, but no VTubers were nominated, which is a sham. So moving on. we got a look at Lost Ark, the second Amazon MMO, though Amazon's really just publishing this one. It's a Korean MMO that originally came out in I believe 2019 in Korea, and it's also out now in Russia. It's a free-to-play top-down MMO coming out to 11/22. It has daily, weekly, 5-man dungeons and 18, 16-person raids, customizable islands for decorating, 3v3 PvP with gear scaling, 7 classes, and each class has at least one subclass. And classes are separated by gender. The game's made in Unreal Engine 3, and it has more customization options than New World, but not as much as League of Maidens or Skyrim. There is no boob slider.
Oh.
And it's more traditional action MMO combat where you got a bunch of abilities, unlike in New World where it's more of that Souls-light kind of feel. But it's one of the most anticipated Korean MMO releases in a long time. Since the OG Korean release, they've now added blood to the game. It has in-engine cutscenes, pre-rendered cutscenes, and I think my favorite part for an MMO, it has separate balancing for PvE and PvP. Abilities do different things depending on who you're playing against. It's got crafting and gathering that's relevant to the endgame, a polished UI and good sound design, and build diversity. Lost Ark, I think, is going to be the hit that New World could have been. I'm really excited for this one. And it's free to play. And from what I've heard on the Korean side, the pay mechanics aren't like pay to win predatory. They're just, regular predatory, like every other free game. So I'm really excited to check this one out. I've been hearing people talk about it since about week 3 of New World.
You
when
said
that
it's
luster kind of wore off.
Did you say like top down perspective? Is that what you said?
So like Diablo.
Okay, all right.
Or like
it's
Ultima
like
Online.
Mm-hmm. Like you
Andy
don't
used
use
to love Ultima.
I
You don't
loved
use,
Ultima Online. Loved it.
WASD to move. You actually, like in Diablo, click your mouse on the screen to like walk around and stuff. So it's like a Diablo MMO, like Path of Exile kind of thing. It seems like it's going to be really cool, and I'm very, very excited. And we already have some nice controversy brewing because people are claiming they censored the English release outfits, that they aren't as sexy. So it's going to be good when you already got those accusations flying out. And a mod said on the forums that there was no cut content. They're just showcasing other outfits. So I'm real excited for all the neckbeards to get super pissed or super wet.
Well, I think I'm trying to research a little bit because I don't think I looked at this as much, but the webpage for the game actually looks like the screenshots and stuff look really good. But again, it's probably not something that I jump into. It's really not probably my cup of tea.
But I think that's also one of the other benefits of it being free. Not benefits, but also being another Unreal Engine 3 MMO, like a Korean one. They know how, stylistic wise, you have to kind of try and stand out because there's so many of these kind of games, especially in Korea. But not as many have made the localization trip to English. Like you have people that play these games with like fan-made translations and shit. So I'm really excited to try this one out because like the closest I've come before is playing Black Desert Online, but that game has been out too long that I don't know what the fuck's going on or what to do in that one, so I can't really play it. So I'm hoping maybe I'm just trying to capture that rush of playing WoW, but I feel like someone's gonna finally give me that hit of smack,
Is this strictly PC? Nothing console?
Yes.
Okay.
You know when you're going to finally get that, smack that you're looking for?
When League of Maidens officially comes out, yep.
I was going to say when Blizzard finally decides to say, you know what, let's make an updated WoW 2. Let's make a second WoW, update all the graphics, the engine, everything, bring it all forward to modern whenever that time is, and just say, there you go.
Even if they did it, I wouldn't play it until Bobby Kodak's fired. # fire Bobby Kotick.
I understand that, and I don't disagree. I'm just saying that's when you'll get that opportunity, is when they finally say, let's just make a second one.
No, it's going to be when they finally deregulate the markets enough that when I play games in VR, they can actually inject me with heroin. It's coming. Wait for it. That's what Cyberpunk is. Cyberpunk's doing smack with your VR headset.
So anyway, Andy, for being a fan of Ultima, since this is somewhat similar, is this something you'd play?
I remember watching the trailer for this, and nothing really like stuck out as like blowing me away from the trailer. It just seemed to, it didn't hold my attention to it, but based on what Ian just said, it sounds like something that I might like. I've been into MMOs before, like I've been into WoW and like Star Wars Old Republic and stuff like that. So I could, and Ultima Online, obviously.
OG Star Wars Galaxies.
OG Star Wars Galaxies. Yep. It's terrible at it, but I loved it. So I could see maybe getting into this. I want to say though that I feel like my MMO days are probably more under the bridge.
Part of me wonders if like part of the reason I'll never get that rush back is because I have to work.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
like
thing.
it's not even work. It's I have responsibilities now. It's like more than anything.
Can't just
Yeah.
grind all day.
That's
Like, it's
the
not
thing
even
about.
that. Like, do I just not want responsibilities? And it doesn't matter what game it is.
That's the thing about MMOs. It's like there's so much of a FOMO factor in it, and I
Mhm.
feel like with the season passes and
This doesn't have a
the
season
sketch.
pass.
I know,
Just
but
throwing that
like
out.
the,
I know.
the
I just want
schedule
to
of
clarify.
the schedule of other games
Oh, yeah.
seems to have a lot of FOMO with it too. That it's just it gets almost tedious to play like an MMO,
Mhm.
especially if you like land with a guild, clan, whatever you want to call it, whatever
Mhm.
their grouping of
Mhm.
people is going to be called in this game. Like if you're a regular raider, like you would have to like every Tuesday and Thursday I'm playing 6 to 8, 6 to 8, and then it gets to be more like
Job.
a task or a job than it is fun.
Yeah, let's go. Yep, that's EVE Online, and I want to mention now because Andy mentioned that reminded me with the no battle passes. They're also releasing this at like the original Korean release date. So every 3 to 4 months there'll be like a new patch adding new content, and we'll probably never be on parity with the Korean release. We'll always be a little behind. So you'll know like what content's coming because
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
we're behind.
Yeah.
But
It'll
at
be
least
that.
at least they'll have time to work out the bugs before it makes it
Mhm.
to the US market.
You
so-
would hope. And at the same time, I think it also means like you're always getting that steady drip,
Right.
you know? Not just FOMO stuff, but just drip anew because it's already been made.
Gotcha.
Mike, you playing it?
I don't know. I feel kind of
He's
like
gonna
Andy,
play it.
where I'm really burnt out on the grindy games. You know, like I just want to play a game, play a story, have fun with the mechanics, play 10 to 30 hours in it and put it down and be like, "Oh, that was awesome." And then if I want to play multiplayer, hop into whatever one I'm feeling at the time, if I want to go shoot people in the face. But for
In
like
the face.
the full grind and shit like that, I can't even grind Destiny anymore, man. Like it's gotten to a point where I'm like, there's just no point to this. I just want to play a game and have fun. And this all seems like a task and all this. And it's like when new Destiny content comes out, like, yeah, I'll go get up to level real quick so I can do the raid once or twice. But the whole like idea of like, oh, you got to min-max your gear and do this, and I can't do that shit anymore. I don't know if I'm getting too old for it or if I've just done it too much in other games to where I've just hit that wall where it's like, I just want to play and have fun. And MMOs and grindy type titles really dig into that.
Plus, there's always another game to play. So if you
Yeah.
get stuck in one game forever, you're never getting to the other stuff, which is where I'm getting stuck. Is my back catalog just keeps getting bigger because I keep coming back to the same 5 games.
Yeah, that's a lot of what happened with me with Destiny. I spent so many thousands of hours playing that game, I missed out on a lot of stuff. And I've been
Yeah.
catching up on the stuff I missed out on, and I plan to continue that trend as opposed to hopping in, like, I'm willing at most, I think, now to give like 100 hours to a game. Like if it's worth giving 100 hours to.
Yeah.
See, I
That's
can't
the
say that because there's so many games I play where the 100 hours is where you start. like Crusader Kings or like some of these RPGs I play.
Well,
Even Fallout 4, which I thought was like one of the not a great Fallout game, I still put over 100 hours into that.
yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, it has to be something worth it. Like, Elden Ring is
Mhm.
going to get hundreds of hours from me because it's a FromSoft game. You can play the first as a mage, do different types of and there'll be like 3 or 4 different schools of magic in the game that you can use, and all of them play completely different. And then there's using all the different weapons, all this different shit, all the different approaches you can take to the games that still make them feel new is fun. When it's, here, go do this same activity over and over and over again to get a 5% better weapon. No, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit. I can't do that anymore. But when it's play something again in a different way, because the game feels different when you do it, I'm okay with that.
Fair. Yeah.
I feel like in today's video game industry, it's sort of a double-edged sword. I enjoy that companies bring new and exciting things to games that you enjoy playing with downloadable content and patches and just new seasons and whatnot. But I miss the days. Those games like keep you in them, right? So you never release to play something new.
They
like
never
Brian
end.
said, you're always back for those 5 games. And part of that's fear of missing out, and part of that's pretty good content creation from the studios themselves. I miss the days when you bought a cartridge or a CD and that's literally all you got. And then you could get through your back catalog faster because the grindiness.
Oh, yeah.
You knew everything was there. You didn't have to download a patch or anything like that. You could just play that through, go to the next one, play that through.
Look at
go to the next
fucking
one.
GTA. GTA 5 came out in like 2013, and they just put out new content today for online. That's a whole new story missions, other stuff to do. Fucking Dr. Dre is in the game you can meet, and there's new music exclusive for Dr. Dre that is part of the story. You unlock it as you play. That is exclusive to GTA Online. You can only hear these tracks there. Like, that's... I had no idea this shit was coming. They just talked about it last week, and now it's here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this game is 8 years old, and they're still doing shit like this. Like, that's insane.
And you can pet the dog now.
I did see that, yeah. I saw that Twitter post, yes. Anything else for Lost Ark? Nothing? All right. Andy,
Comes
you're up.
out like on Brian's birthday, probably.
It's close. Couple days.
I'll get it for you.
Me too.
So my first selection was it's sort of a tandem selection. It's Sonic, an overarching Sonic game, but it's the game and the movie. So the game is a brand new Sonic game called Sonic Frontiers. Frontier or Frontiers, I can't remember which, if it's plural or not, but it is, from what I've been hearing from everybody, it's basically Sonic Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay.
So it's an open world Sonic game. It doesn't have like the 2D pathing where you just, you make it to the end. This is more open world.
Have they done like an open world, or at least like they've done like 3D Sonics before, right?
They've
Not
done
like
3D.
open world.
Yeah,
They
have.
suck.
I've heard they're not very well received, but this one I feel like is I'm hesitant to say that I like this idea because I feel like any open world game that I play, I have that issue where there's too much to do and it sort of overwhelms me and I sort of put it down for something that isn't overwhelming, which is what happened with Breath of the Wild. So I'm a little leery to say that I want to play this, but it does look very cool.
Yeah.
My, I guess, only issue with it is that, like, they've released, 23 Sonic games, and 0 of them are good.
No, they're
You kinda like
old
the-
school. The old
No,
school.
he's
Sonic
talking about the
1
Nintendo release Sonic games.
No, I'm talking about all the Sonic, the Hedgehog, Sonic, and Knuckles. There's no good Sonic games. They all suck.
Oh, well, I'll disagree with that, but
Yeah, OG Sonic is still pretty good.
Yeah.
No, it's
first
it's
three
a
games are
platformer where
fantastic.
you're the whole point's to go really fast, but you can't because then you don't do the jumps and see the stuff. They're bad games. There's no good Sonic game. The
I'll
only
disagree with that.
same game that's good Sonic is in is Smash.
Ian's hot take.
You don't like the Winter Olympics games?
Okay, those are
Sonic,
pretty cool too.
Sonic versus Mario.
And that new one that's the Tokyo Olympics, but you can play as a guy dressed as Sonic.
Wasn't there a Sonic Racers too, like Mario Kart? Except
Yeah, and that
Sonic
sucked.
Kart.
That sucks hard. That sucks more than the other Sonic games that aren't in 3D.
Yeah, that was no Crash Team Racing.
That's a good game.
But for me, with this one, where I fall on this is like Pokemon is doing a similar kind of thing coming out in January. And it makes sense, I think, for a Pokemon game to go that route. To go explore and find all these animals out in the wild. It kind of makes sense. Sonic is one of the last titles I would want in an open world. Like, to play as that character in an open world, I see no desire to do that.
Yeah.
It's a cool idea, and if it's done right, we'll have to see, but I just don't personally need Sonic to have all that space.
Well, because like if it's an actual Sonic game, in 3 minutes I should be able to go from one end to the other end of the open world. Because he's the blue burr. Like it's the whole fucking point. I just don't see how it works in open world. I don't see how any Sonic game works because they don't. But beside the point here.
I mean, I'm much more excited about the movie than the game.
Agreed.
I think Sonic 2, the trailer for the movie, got me a lot more excited than what this trailer for the game did.
I'm a little sad they didn't use Ugandan Knuckles at any point.
Okay, it's 2021, not 2016.
But they still could have like had some fun with it. Just do you know
Even
the way?
The guys in charge of the movie aren't that old. Because it's a boomer meme. It's a boomer meme.
Okay.
The movie does look really good, and I got really excited to hear Idris Elba as Knuckles.
Yeah.
You know, I thought they did a really good job formulating that trailer to sort of end on that note.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, and I like the fact that they've already started having like a good dynamic between Tails and Sonic.
Yeah. That first Sonic movie, like I like that movie a lot. I think I don't know if it gets what kind of rep it's getting, like if people actually like it or not. I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I really like that movie a lot.
I thought it was good. Yeah.
I think people are just happy it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
Considering what it looked like originally and what they ended up with, hell yeah, it was a much bigger improvement.
The poster for Sonic 2, but with the original models.
Oh god.
They're like, we could have had this, but you guys ruined it. This could have been it.
So, there's sort of an Easter egg that I caught in the Sonic trailer, and when Dr. Robotnik comes back, his buddy is going like this in some sort of a shop. I don't know if you saw that or not, but it is Dr. Robotnik's like coffee house, really, and it's the Mean Bean machine.
Okay. I love the
Basically
Mean Bean
Dr.
machine.
Robotnik's Mean Bean machine.
It's an awesome game.
Oh, I love that game. It's one of my favorites. That's a Sonic game that doesn't suck.
Well, that's a Dr. Robotnik game, technically.
Well, it's in the fucking universe. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a
I also
Sonic
don't
game.
think the
more
Sonic
Jim
game
Carrey
sucked,
just-
but
I can't wait to see more Jim Carrey just being Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I thought he did a very good job in the last one. So. And,
It brought me back to like Ace Ventura and stuff, and I just want more of that.
Yeah, it's an exciting. It'll be interesting to see how Dr. Robotnik comes back from the first movie, and I like the dynamic that Sonic had with, I can't remember his name in the movie, but James Marston.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't think of his character's name either right now.
So I'm really 50-50 with that actor. I thought he was not a great Cyclops, and better in other movies.
They didn't give Cyclops shit to do in those movies. I do not blame James Marsden for that.
I know, and I agree, but the stuff they did give him to do, I thought he was pretty mediocre with.
Nah. How many more movies until they do a crossover with Detective Pikachu?
That would be a Super Smash Brothers movie would be pretty awesome.
We are getting an animated Mario movie. Like the plates are spinning here.
Yeah.
No one. Yeah. I'd rather Idris Elba be Mario.
Anybody else? Anything else? Sonic?
I'm excited for the movie. I think it's cool that they made a video game movie that's like solid. Like kids seem to really like it too, which is nice. Get them into gaming. Get them, start buying those microtransactions on their phone. Get them while they're young. So I think it's really cool. I think Idris Elba, it just felt right when he talked to his Knuckles, so that was good to see.
It didn't sound completely like Idris Elba just talking, too. It sounded like he was doing something to make himself sound different, which worked.
Yeah.
When you hear it, you know it's him, but like the way it was, it works for the character really well.
Yeah. He has a deep voice already, but I feel like he deepened it even more, and I'm like, whoa, like he is going Barry White on us over here.
Well, I think he dropped his British for it too, didn't he? Like the British accent that he has. I feel like he dropped that part.
I think you're right. I don't think there was an accent to it.
Go back and listen. I feel like he only has like one line in that trailer, and I apparently didn't pay that close attention to it. I'll have to go watch it again. But yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in for the movie. Game, we'll see. But movie, I'm in. April, I think, right? Sometime in April.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I didn't look at the date. Sorry.
April 8th, 2022.
Okay.
Pending Marvel moving a date on them.
All right, Andy, what was your second topic?
So my second topic is an odd topic to have picked because, well, I'll tell you here in a second, but I picked Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And it's an odd topic.
Borderlands spinoff.
Yes, and it's an odd topic for me to have picked because I've never really played any of the Borderlands games. But the thing that intrigued me about it, well, I played a little bit of couch co-op of Borderlands 2.
Okay.
And that was...
You played the one with Tiny Tina.
Yes. Apparently she's some sort of bomb maker or something.
Yeah, she's like a side character you get missions and stuff from.
Yeah, I don't know much about her except for what I read on the thing. But, and the bit of Borderlands 2 that I played was fun, but I feel like they over inundated you with weapons of different calibers and rarities, and it's just constantly trying to shift your inventory for the better weapon.
There's a shit ton of weapons, yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. It's like mind-numbingly crazy, because I remember trying to play that a little bit and playing Destiny at the same time, and I was like, these are two totally different loot patterns. It's fucking crazy. So, what I like about this game, though, is it seems like she's into a game called Bunkers and Badasses, which is the Borderlands version of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And basically, this game that you're playing is she's a dungeon master, and you're playing through her campaign of Bunkers and Badasses. So this, to me, is intriguing just because I don't know that anyone's made a game from a game that's about a game.
It's very meta.
Yeah, it is. And,
Like
and I like... Huh?
Gwent, the card game in Witcher 3.
Yeah. It's sort of like that.
If you were playing as like the cards or something, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Layer. Like you were in. Yeah. So it and it looks like it has that very branded Borderlands humor that I liked from just watching a little bit of Borderlands 2 that I watched and some of the bit that I played. And it looks cool because it looks like it's melding typical Dungeons and Dragons feel encounters with the loot tables and craziness of the explosions and guns of Borderlands.
Yeah.
So I feel like anything is really possible in this, and I'm excited for it, even though I can't say that I'm a fan of Borderlands.
How long before you start playing it and then you're like, this is too many guns. I can't take it. I'm over it
We'll
already.
see. You never know. I mean, I might have like swords and spears and shit to use
No,
too.
fair.
So you,
Fair.
Yeah, I don't know what's really going to happen.
Yeah, Tiny Tina is always she's one of my favorite characters from Borderlands. She cracks me up. Like leaning into the humor of the game and stuff. She was one of my favorites.
Did you play her DLC?
I did not. No. Borderlands is one of those games where like I start getting into them and I play them, but I never finish them.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that with 2, I've done that with 3, I've done that with the pre-sequel. Like I've never finished a Borderlands game, but I've gotten close. 2 was probably the furthest I got. I don't know if I beat 2. But I was pretty close to the end, I think, for 2. But yeah, I'm curious about this one too. I'd like to it's still traditional like Borderlands first person, right? They're not changing up the perspective or how the game plays or anything, right?
I couldn't tell, honestly, because it didn't look like a whole lot of gameplay footage. It looked more like cutscene footage to me.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that was difficult to tell, but I think it would be a neat differentiating this from the other ones by adding a little bit of like RPG aspects
Right.
the frame of like first person, third person, and style of combat and whatnot.
Yeah,
It is listed as
person.
first-person shooter. Yeah.
Okay.
The gameplay trailer they released a couple months ago actually uses a song from my favorite J-pop band. It's a Japanese idol group called Baby Metal.
Baby Metal.
Do metal idol songs.
So you're sold, right? You're in this game now.
Oh yeah, I've enjoyed Borderlands, and I think what I needed though, I only played the first 2. I needed them to do something different because they're kind of just the same games.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
they didn't mix it up enough, like add something new, and I think this is kind of what I'm waiting for. They're trying something new, and that's saying a lot for Borderlands because they really have made the 4 games. They've made the same game 4 times so far. So
I mean,
I'm
I feel like
actually
the
really
hook of
excited for
Borderlands
this one.
is the loot. Like you play for the plethora of guns that Andy was talking about.
But like Diablo has the same thing, but it's still satisfying playing that and going through, and they feel different. Like stuff has changed. Where I think because it's so gun focused, like you still have abilities in Borderlands, because it's such a focus on the guns, the gameplay just seems the same. And you're
Yeah, it does
fighting
get
raiders a lot. You know what I mean? It
repetitive,
just doesn't
yeah.
have that variety I think you can get, and I think it's a lot quicker in Diablo to start getting to like the end game stuff, whereas Borderlands, I think the story takes a little too long, and I think by the 3rd one, I was like, you guys got to grow up a little bit with this humor. And I'm hoping like with the melding the D&D aspect, they don't go for the same Mountain Dew and Dorito jokes that we always hear with D&D. You know, they upgrade it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm excited
That's
to
fair.
see what they do, and it's something I do want to check out just because I'm happy they're trying something different, you know, using melee weapons and stuff instead of just guns, and, you know, I just kind of want to be a badass.
That's fair. Yeah. Mike, you think you check this one out?
Probably not. And that's just because I've never played a Borderlands. So
Ever.
ever.
Well, that's why I think this might be a good one, because it's such a departure from Borderlands proper. You don't need to have ever played a Borderlands to get into it.
True. I mean, I'll check it out. You know what I mean? I'll watch some videos, see if it looks good. If it pulls me in, it does. I mean, I guess, like, for me, like, I've watched videos of Borderlands before, and I've been like, eh. Like, yeah, I mean, there was nothing there where I was like, oh, I have to play this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That, like, Borderlands has never done that for me.
Okay.
If this one is enough of a departure, maybe. You know, but from what I've seen so far, it's still gonna be Borderlands, is what I understood. It's still gonna be Borderlands. It's just gonna be a different setting, a different narrative style, but the gameplay and whatnot is going to be very similar from what I understood.
Like, I think another thing with this is it's kind of reminds me a little bit of that Warhammer Vermintide game, which is like a shooting and melee, but it takes place in the Warhammer universe, so it's
Right.
kind of that like D&D-ish feel, I guess. And that game, a lot of people love that one. I'm excited they're making a 40K version of it. So if this can kind of get in that area too, I could see myself having fun with this one. Like, I don't know. I'm happy they're doing something different and badasses and swords, and hopefully Tiny Tina is funny enough. Because I'm assuming she's going to narrate it.
My hesitation with this is
Mhm.
the trailer and just like the whole theme of the game makes it seem more like a DLC than a AAA game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Yeah.
know if they're going to give you enough to do to make it like a AAA game.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? It
Mhm.
feels small to me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Honestly,
Yeah,
when
'cause
they
I thought
first
it was-
announced it, I wasn't sure if it was a DLC for Borderlands 3.
I thought it was DLC for 3. Is it basically so I guess it's basically just like a spin-off, right?
Right.
It's a,
Yeah, it's to be
its
like the
own
Miles
thing.
Morales game for Spider-Man.
Okay. So we're figuring $30-$40 probably for this game.
No.
No.
70.
Is it full? It's a full $70.
You know Randy Pitchford?
Yeah.
He said it's a full-featured AAA game.
Okay. Well, okay.
But
So wait
it's
for
also
sale.
Randy Pitchford, so who knows? He might have meant it's a half-featured single-A game. He's a known liar.
Yeah. So wait for
Fuck you,
sale.
Randy. But yeah, I'm excited by this one. I'm happy Andy brought it up.
Yeah, it was one of the few, well, not few, because like I really liked watching all of the trailers, but this is the one that I sort of earmarked from the beginning. So, and one that I didn't know existed and was excited to see after I was done. Like, wow, I could see myself playing this.
Mhm. It's got a good cast. It's got Will Arnett, Andy Samberg in it, so should be fun.
They are doing a Borderlands movie too. I think that's supposed to come out next year.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, as of right now, yeah.
It's gonna end up on
2022.
Paramount Plus.
Maybe. Trying to see. I was trying to look at the cast list if they cast someone as Tiny. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they have a Tiny Tina in the movie too. Cool. All right.
Not gonna
I'm
tell
not-
us who it is.
Yeah, like
Very.
Bury the
Well, it's,
thread.
I don't know who this is. Ariana Greenblatt.
Why'd you tell us
Okay,
this?
yeah.
We don't know who this is.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't
That's
have
what
brought
I
it up, Brian.
Makes no difference. But it does. I mean, it's the movie is directed by Eli Roth. It's got Kevin Hart, Kate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jack Black. Who else would we know?
Oh, she was in Boss Baby.
Was she?
Oh, that
The
answers
second one.
everything.
She was the main character in she was the girl in the second Boss Baby.
There's a second Boss Baby. Learn something new
Yeah,
every
it's called
day.
The Boss Baby Family Business.
That's a natural
Boss Baby
progression.
game win.
I am curious about the movie though. I'm curious. I want to see a trailer for that and see what that looks like. But I don't know when we'll get that.
Oh, and she is in Infinity War.
Who is she in Infinity War?
Young Gamora.
Ah, all right. Gotcha. All right. Anything else for Tiny Tina? We'll get to, I guess, my two.
Is that? Do you know when it comes out, Andy?
That I do not. I didn't really pay attention to.
Gotcha.
I feel like
any of
it's
the
soon,
release
isn't
dates
it?
or
Release
anything
dates.
like that.
I feel like it's got to be soon. Because I think they talked about it at like E3 and stuff.
It just says 2022.
March 25th.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. March
okay,
25th.
yeah. There it is.
March
Okay.
25th. On all platforms, including last-gen consoles.
Nice.
All right. Nice. All right, so we'll get to my two. The one I'm going to start with is probably the most obvious one. They announced a new Star Wars game. So we're getting a game called Star Wars Eclipse, which is a game developed by Quantic Dream, which is the studio behind Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Become Human. The story takes place in the High Republic era of Star Wars, which is an era I'm not very familiar with, really. And honestly, that idea excites me. Like I've
What
talked
era
about.
is that?
Isn't it like a few hundred years before?
I think it's not as far back as Old Republic, but it's way before the prequels.
Yoda will still be a part of the High Republic. I remember that part of it because
Yes,
So it's supposed to be like the High Republic means like the height of the Republic.
I'm
Yes.
guessing. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So I know they have like a lot of we've talked about in other times we've talked about Star Wars how I'd like to see new Star Wars content, take it somewhere different, do a different era. And the books have been doing this. We're supposed to get some sort of show, I think, set in the High Republic era, also on Disney Plus at some point.
yeah.
This is the first game that I know of that is going to take place in that era. So all of this stuff excites me. This is new Star Wars stuff that I know nothing about. At the very least, it's probably going to push me to want to read some of these books and novels that are out there that I've been, again, putting on the back burner with everything else. So all of that sounds cool. Quantic Dream usually makes not that I've played them, but I've seen enough of them that they've done pretty good story-focused games that I think a lot of them rely on almost like QuickTime events, and this one's supposed to be a little bit more action-heavy and less on the QuickTimey type of stuff.
What you're describing is not a video game. You're describing a visual novel.
Fair.
Well, Heavy Rain was more decision-based than QuickTimes. Like, it was a mystery.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic game. Well worth playing. Really good story. Several different endings you can come to.
Yeah.
Based on the decisions you make. You control all 4 of the main characters, and you're basically setting out to figure out which one of them is the murderer throughout the whole game. And you're controlling them, but you don't actually know who did the murder.
Gotcha.
It's a really, really cool game.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Detroit Become Human too, and I think that game looks really fantastic too, as opposed to just the way the story plays out and stuff with that too. That's a game, another one that I owned that never played, so that's back catalog-y stuff too. But yeah, I think the trailer for that was really fucking weird and still Star Wars at the same time, and I kind of love that. And I feel like I have to at least bring up that Quantic Dream is another one of those studios that's under fire the last couple years for toxic work conditions, sexist jokes, and racist jokes, and their CEO,
really?
David Cage, is kind of a dick. So it's really fucking weird that, EA went through all this shit with the Star Wars license, and people were getting pissed off with them, and then Star Wars is like, hey, we're going to let other studios play with Star Wars. And one of the first ones they talk about is Quantic Dream, and they're like, why the fuck did you give it to this studio that's been in the press with all this bad shit that they're doing? Give it to a studio that wants to do something and is not a shit studio.
To be fair, it's the first I've heard of Quantic. I honestly had not heard that about them.
Yeah, a couple
until
years
you just
ago,
said it.
I guess they're a French publisher or French developer, and French newspapers, a couple of them, teamed up on this joint article about how bad the working conditions are, and their CEO and all that shit, published it. And instead of Quantic Dream coming out and say oh, we're sorry, we fucked up, we'll do better, this is what we're doing is fix ourselves, they tried to sue the publications that wrote the story, and they're not doing anything to change their working environment, so they're still in this shit. So the studio kind of sucks, but the game looks awesome, and I'm very, very torn, how to feel about this. I mean, chances are I'm going to play it because it's Star Wars, but God damn it,
Right.
I am going to try to hold out for a sale or something. I don't want to give Quantic Dream more money. Or that too, yeah.
Or pirate it.
Try to do something like that.
I agree with a lot of what Brian's saying. I like Star Wars that takes place in stuff we're not familiar with. I like when they try new things with Star Wars. That's really cool. My issue is just like Sonic, Quantic Dream has 0 good games. They've never made a good one. I'm less disappointed. Like Brian was saying, I thought a lot of the outrage I heard with Quantic Dream getting a Star Wars game was the fact they don't make games. They make interactive visual novels.
Now, I guess, yeah, I think a lot of what I saw was that the studio is not good. Not that they don't make good games, but they're not a good working environment, and they're getting a bunch of bad press. And yet this is the studio you reward with a cash cow like Star Wars.
It's also just a weird one because it's not one of the big studios, I think, too. But
yeah,
so again, I'm not going to play it. So
fair.
I think everybody was hoping the next Star Wars game would be announced as being given to Bethesda, but
or just Fallen Order 2.
I mean, yeah, I would take Fallen Order 2.
Fallen Order 2 is happening. That's
KOTOR
a
3.
given.
See, I don't want KOTOR.
Yeah, KOTOR 3 we'll have to see, but
the remake of KOTOR sounds cool. We'll see how they do with it. It's a shame that it's only on PlayStation or PC too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
at least at the start. I think it's a timed exclusive, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still that's a shame because the original was an Xbox thing.
Oh yeah.
So it's going from one to the other, But I don't know what to expect from this game specifically. Whether or not I'll play it really depends on, seeing what the gameplay is actually going to be. Is this what is it? We still don't know. We have a cinematic trailer and that's it. And we have I don't think there's any statement about what type of game this is. Is it an RPG? Is it a story-based game? Is it a action? Do we actually know?
I think this is maybe just me speculating, or maybe I read this somewhere and I kind of forgot where I read it, but my idea of the game is more story focused, but a little bit more heavier in the action than what Quantic Dream has done previously.
Okay. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I didn't realize Quantic Dream was a problem personally, so I hadn't given thought to that. But I mean, as Star Wars games go, yeah, there's a lot of studios I would have been more happy to see get a hold of, the IP and do something with it. So maybe we'll get an announcement about one of those someday. That sounds
I still like
better.
to see the IP hit some other studios, and if the exclusive deal that they had with EA is finally at the tail end, and they're starting to hand out the IP to other studios, we might get a handful of other Star Wars games coming out. And the beauty about Star Wars is there's so much lore there. You could make 5 different games from 5 different eras, and they could be different genres of a game. There's that much variety there that you could do it. I mean, they probably won't, because they don't want to saturate the market with Star Wars shit, but
it worked for the original Xbox era. Look at all the Star Wars games we got during the original Xbox era, and most of them were pretty good. Battlefront 2, you got Jedi Knight, you got the second, whatever it was called, what was the second Jedi Knight game called?
Outcast.
Yeah. You got the Pod Racer game, you got the Jedi Starfighter games.
That's true. Yeah. A lot of those were good.
The list just keeps going, and a lot of them were just offshoots. And you got the movie games, which we just talked about, Revenge of the Sith being one of these older games that's amazing, that's worth going back to even today.
Yeah.
So seeing a bunch of different studios get a hold of it, although that was still when Lucasfilm or Lucas was making games, but
right.
I'd still like to see a bunch of different Star Wars games coming out. So
don't forget too, on top of this one, we're still supposed to get some sort of open world Star Wars game from Ubisoft. That's still happening too. That's still probably a couple years away, but that's still in production somewhere.
I mean, yeah.
Not to mention, like Ian said, I'm assuming Fallen Order 2 is coming out from EA at some point. That's got to be happening in the next couple years. So there's still a couple other Star Wars games in the pipeline. And I probably wouldn't expect this one anytime soon. I actually don't remember if they gave a release date or any type of anything for this one, even a year. I don't remember. But yeah, it's Mike, like you said, the trailer doesn't give us a lot to go on. There's really no details of what the story is. There's just Star Wars imagery. A lot of it looks new, and they talk about High Republic era, so you get a little bit of a setting. But having not read any of the books or any of the tie-in stuff, I don't know if anything we're seeing in this trailer is supposed to mean something. It's just complete gibberish to me.
Even
but
the
it's
title
Star
could
Wars,
mean something, and we don't know.
Yeah,
It's actually setting up Snoke.
Snoke origins.
The way Star Wars is retconning all that shit, I would not be surprised. But Andy, what did you think of the game? The trailer?
The trailer looks really cool. I like that it has an air of mystery to it.
Yeah.
And the graphics are. I thought I was looking at real people there for a couple of times. That was pretty impressive, and I enjoy that they had written into the trailer the drum beating being animated or they actually made that, and they made it look really good, and it was neat to see one of the characters doing the drumming turn around and seeing that it was one of the Star Wars races.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one, but it'll be interesting to see. I've seen Heavy Rain played, and I didn't really care for the gameplay on it. That's just a personal thing. The visual novel thing just doesn't really carry much weight to me.
Yeah.
So I think I would have to wait and see a gameplay trailer to really say yes or no, but I would lean yes just because it's Star Wars.
Yeah. All the drum beating and stuff in the trailer, at first glance, without some of the Star Wars imagery, like lightsabers and some of the starships and stuff, I thought it was a Dune game. It really reminded me of Dune for some reason. Anything else to add for Star Wars Eclipse? Nothing
I would
else. All
say
right.
that the trailer for this one to me looked the most lifelike of all the trailers I saw.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so we'll go on to my number 2. My last topic that we'll talk about is a trailer that actually I think took me completely by surprise and something I was not expecting. Was the Wonder Woman game, which is being developed by Monolith Productions, which is the studio behind the Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, and its sequel, Shadow of War. The game is said to be a single-player, open-world action-adventure game where you play as Wonder Woman, fighting to unite her Amazon family and the humans of the modern world. It will be using the same Nemesis system that was used in the Lord of the Rings games to forge deep connections with both enemies and allies. So basically, I am picturing a game that looks and plays like Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, but you are playing as Wonder Woman, and that sounds amazing. Have any of you guys played either Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War? Any of those games?
I've wanted to so many times because it looks so awesome, and I love Middle Earth, like just Lord of the Rings universe. But I just it's one of those back burner type games for me.
I think I would highly recommend it. If you're trying to dig through some back catalog, I would say put this towards the top.
Yeah, they were
Played
really good.
Shadow of Mordor, but I fell off like halfway through it.
Mordor I actually finished. Shadow of War I started, but it didn't hook me as quickly as Mordor did. So that one kind of fell by the wayside, but Mordor was really good.
I felt like both of the games were extremely good. They just had... The combat system still felt just a little bit clunky for me. Like, they were really good story, really good games. The combat was good. Like the arenas that you were fighting in when you would like stroll up on a band of orcs or something like that. It was really cool. It just felt like it needed to be smoother.
Okay.
That was my only gripe with that. But
It's
the
been a couple
Nemesis
years since
system
those
was
games
cool
come
as
out,
shit.
so I would think that they'd have that under control for this game, hopefully.
Well, I'll let you talk about it, but I have concerns about this one.
Ian, anything to chime in? Have you played any of the Shadow of Mordor or Shadow War games?
Did that not come up when I said I played it and fell off halfway through?
Oh, that's right.
You
Okay.
responded
Yeah,
to it.
Yeah,
you
yes.
heard me, you fucking
I got you.
asshole.
Okay.
So, I mean, for Mordor, I played it once, and I quit like an hour or two in, maybe. And then I went back to it like a year later, and that's when I got halfway through it.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of how I fall off. It's really like those Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft kind of games, and I always fall off of those.
It is very Assassin's Creed-esque, like with the scaling of the towers and unlocking the map and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
You literally like climb like the same tower and do the thing.
Yeah.
The one thing.
Woo thing.
We're gonna need
Can
that
I
clip,
get that
Brian.
in the slow motion instant replay?
I don't know. What am I doing?
Making some good sound effect clips, that's what you're doing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for this. I think I'm surprised that it's a Wonder Woman game. Like, I wouldn't picture like, okay, let's make a Wonder Woman game and this is what it's going to be. So I'm just excited that Wonder Woman's getting a game too. Like, I think that's pretty cool. And if it's in that style of the Shadow of Mordor game and stuff like that, like I'm in. I like those games. I like the way they played. I would imagine that the world is probably going to be bigger. Like I think Mike started to say, the Nemesis system is a really cool mechanic for both of those games. Like the way that if you go after some sort of orc leader and you don't kill him, he gets pissed off and he's much more difficult to fight the next time because he's almost ready for you the next time. I think the second game, I don't remember. It might have been a mechanic in the first game. Can you like friend some of those guys in the first game, or is it just the Shadow of War where you could sort of ally with some of these guys? But there's a way to like friend some of the orc leaders so they're part of your crew and somehow be an ally to you.
No, the first game just had like the in-story one. You kind of like helped rise up through the ranks because you were using him, but it wasn't like an official part of like the system.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think Shadow of War then leaned into that further with their system. And there was Shadow of War had a much bigger like map and like areas to control and stuff like that. That it seemed a little bit more complicated than what Shadow of Mordor was. So I don't know which way, if Wonder Woman will even capture any of that stuff or want to use any of those mechanics, but I guess it's something we'll have to see. I really want to see what the game looks like too. Like we got basically a CG trailer with just Wonder Woman there with some voiceover, so there's not a lot to go on.
Yeah.
Everything that I talked about is stuff that was in the description for the YouTube trailer, telling you what the game is. So again, it's one I'm definitely gonna have my eyes on and see where it goes, and the more announcements they put with it, and see what it turns out to be. But I'm excited.
I guess.
Mike, you got other stuff to add?
Yeah, my concern with a Wonder Woman game is the same as my concern with a Superman game. It's really hard to balance these characters and canonically keep them as the characters they are.
Yeah.
They're invulnerable, they have immeasurable strength, it's how do you
She flies.
Yeah, like or Thor even. You have these characters sometimes that just don't translate well to a video game because you almost have to nerf the character and remove the fantasy of playing as that character for the game to even have a challenge and not just be you smashing everything to bits.
Right.
And I'm in that spot where it's like I just don't know that you need to make those games. Have them be supporting characters in a Batman game, in a Justice League game, where they can show up and help out every now and then, but you have to experience it as a vulnerable character that has weaknesses. And, I find that problem, and it's why I don't tend to lean into those types of superheroes as much in games, because there's no, threat. There's either no threat or there's no challenge.
Yeah.
And that's my concern anytime you hear that they're making a new game like that. I hope that they can do it right somehow, where they can balance it to work on all levels, where you still have that power fantasy of getting to play as Wonder Woman and feel like Wonder Woman. You know what I mean?
Right.
But still have enemies that are up to the task and not just fodder.
See, I think a game that did that really well was League of Maidens, where you are a Wonder Woman and you do fight enemies that are challenging, and it's a very exciting game. And I think you can do that with Wonder Woman. You just got to do the right enemy type. The problem with Superman is that everyone is weaker than Superman. Everything is less than Superman. I think Wonder Woman, it seems easier to bring it up just because I think she has more. Superman is just literally God. That's Superman is just a God allegory, and I think Wonder Woman's a little more grounded than that. She at least takes the time to block bullets with her bracelets and doesn't just let them hit her.
True.
Yeah, but I feel like she doesn't have to. I feel like she does it just to do it.
And then you have to do it or you fail the mission because you're not cool enough. It's fine. It's gameplay now. You're making something here.
Style points.
I was just making the point that I feel like we've seen Superman punch Wonder Woman and she's fine. He hits harder than a bullet.
Sometimes he's punched Batman and he lived to tell him that his mom's Martha. So,
yeah, but he was
stuff happens.
Well, the point I'm getting, I get what you're saying. Yes, Superman still is that next level above, but I feel like, yeah, he's God of gods, and she's just the god. She's just a god.
Yeah, and a ton of them had shit to do. Zeus and them were fighting shit. They
were fighting other gods and they were fighting other deities.
You can do that. We're just, make a fun game. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Game. I want to have them do that. I want that to be the case. It's just my concern when I hear that we're getting a game with Superman, Wonder Woman, Thor, Martian Manhunter, the Green Lantern. Green Lantern, I think would still be fun if you could make cool shit. That's a whole different mechanic. But you get these characters that are basically gods. It's a thing where
oh, they already made that game. It's called Scribble Knots.
Yeah. It's my concern that it's really, really tough to balance that game. That's my concern. It's really tough to make a game that is fun but maintains the power fantasy of the character to make it worth being a Wonder Woman game. Like, I feel like that's what you got with, like, from Rocksteady with the Batman games. You legit felt like fucking Batman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it was the first game to ever actually capture that. So, and what Spider-Man just did. Like, the new Spider-Man games, you feel like fucking Spider-Man as you're swinging through the goddamn city. Like, it feels like you are playing as Spider-Man. You're not playing a character dressed as Spider-Man punching stuff. You know what I mean? So, can they do that for Wonder Woman and make it work? My hope is yes, but it's a concern.
I'd love to see even just some of the mechanics of, like, sword and shield or using the lasso. Like, I think fighting could be really, really cool in this game, too.
Yeah. They need to do it. They need to have all those different things be a part of it.
Yeah.
So it's a concern, but I hope they can do it right.
I wonder if they chose this superhero just because of like the mechanics that she possesses are very similar to the mechanics that they've already established in the Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah,
the
could
whole,
be.
Sword, shield, a whip, I would consider to be like a martial weapon. I wonder if they didn't sort of brainstorm a superhero to sort of put in that sort of type of a game, and she was the one that sort of fit the bill the best.
I mean, because those kinds of games, you're still, like, the point is you're beating up a bunch of enemies because you got discovered, you know? Like, the issue isn't, like, that you're stronger than everyone. It's, like, balancing it so it's fun to be stronger than everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is, like, if you're just playing straight up as Superman fighting dudes with swords and shields, it's not, like, what's the fucking point of this? Like, yay, press A to win.
Hold on. Medieval Superman, I'd play it.
Yeah,
like
as
Dynasty
I said it,
Warriors.
I thought about it, and I was like, that might not be bad.
Like, I want him to paint his armor those colors too and everything. I'd play that. Keep the cape.
I get the point I was getting at is, like, you have to feel like you're actually playing and that what you're doing matters, and it's not just like the character just wins because they win.
Yeah.
Yes, Sonic.
I got you. All right, any final thoughts for Wonder Woman?
I think a gameplay trailer would be a deciding factor for me.
Yeah.
Same.
I think that'll definitely go a long way.
I have
But,
to see
you know,
my
we're
favorite VTuber Guargura play it. Content creator of the year.
It's
I knew
definitely
that
very
was coming
intriguing.
back at some point.
It's definitely very intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, considering some of the other stuff that got announced, like I said, this was the one that surprised me the most. Was like I heard nothing about a Wonder Woman game prior to this, and the trailer came out, and we're getting one, so that's pretty cool. All right, well, I guess that's where we'll close it down for this one. This is our best summary for the Game Awards announcements. Like I said, if you want to catch up on some other stuff that we didn't talk about, there is some stuff that I posted on Facebook and Twitter. If we still didn't cover anything that you want us to, I guess, then sorry, you're shit out of luck. This is as far as we go for this one. Feel free to check out any recaps for the Game Awards in case there's something else you want to check out that we didn't talk about or didn't
just
post
watch
about.
it.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I mean,
It was all streamed on Twitch and
to
stuff and YouTube, so...
To be
Catch
fair,
Imagine
we should
Dragons.
at least mention that It Takes Two won Game of the Year. I mean,
Oh, it
if,
did, yes.
if we're talking about... Yeah, I'm just saying we should at least mention the game that won the award for Game of the Year if we're talking about the Game Awards. We should at
It
least
didn't deserve
say
to
it's
win.
Yeah, so... the Game of the Year nominees... Game of the Year nominees... Resident Evil Village, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Psychonauts 2, Metroid Dread, Deathloop, and It Takes Two. It Takes Two got the title for this year.
They also won Best Family Game somehow. It is not a family game.
So, was it League of Maidens that deserved to win, Ian? Is that where you were heading with that?
No, Psychonauts 2.
Oh, okay. The only game on the list I played was Resident Evil, and I was
League
kind
of
of
Maidens
surprised that it
hasn't
was
had
there.
an official release yet, so it doesn't qualify.
Oh, okay.
It's still an alpha.
Next year.
No. We've got a couple years.
All right, so yeah, that's it. That's it for us and our Game Awards catch up, recap, whatever you want to call it. If you've enjoyed the show, please support us. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Be sure to give us a share on social media. You can follow or subscribe to the show wherever we're at, which is Spotify, iTunes, Google, Anchor, Stitcher. Hopefully anywhere you're listening to a podcast, you can find us. Check us out on Facebook, Bry Guy and Super Friends, or go to facebook.com/BryGuySuperFriends. You can send us questions, comments, topic suggestions, any of that stuff there. Like Andy said earlier, email me, bryguysuperfriends@gmail.com. I'll check it 6 or 8 months from now. Hit us up on Twitter @BGSuperFriends. You can follow me on Twitch. I am at Jedi Bry Guy. That's Jedi with an I, Bry with a Y. Whenever we decide to do another live show, we'll do it there. We're getting closer to 250. We will probably try to do some sort of a live 250 show on Twitch, on my Twitch channel. I'll post about it when we get closer. It's looking like it's probably going to be sometime next month after the holiday. I don't know if it'll be beginning or mid-January, somewhere in there. We're toying with the idea of probably doing a top 10 of some kind. I think probably our top 10 movies over the last, I want to say last year, but probably last 2 years, since we didn't cover one for last year. And there wasn't too much that actually came out during 2020. So yeah, look forward to that. Keep an eye out. So watch the socials. I'll keep you posted.
Get to hear about my anime movies that they don't know if are real or not.
That's true. Yeah, he could just make shit up. We'll never know the difference. None of us fact check anything. I'm
going to live fact check Ian if that's
on behalf of Andy, Ian, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.